I am going to call the July meeting of the Culver Redevelopment Commission to order. I'm going to ask you to join me in muting your. And I will advise that this meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast on the Town of Culver YouTube channel. And that your participation in this meeting is tantamount to your consent to be part of that broadcast. And may involve the potential of going viral, becoming a star. So, all right, let's take a look at the agenda. The next thing is roll call, and I will ask Ms. Monroe to please.
Sure. Sarah Jones here. Marty Serrano
here.
Sally Ricciardi here. Jerry Seiler
here.
And I am present, as well as our town manager and clerk.
Okay, so
And Karen Schmidt from the school.
we got a full vote. Okay, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody. We have approval of the minutes from the June 19th meeting, which I think we're going to defer. Jenny?
Yeah, that's up to you. I mean, I just sent them out so late.
Okay,
Only just because I've not been in
that.
town the last 2 weeks of all.
Okay.
And there were only 3 of us at it, so we probably should defer so they have time to figure out what happened at that meeting.
Okay.
I
Not a
didn't
lot,
get it,
but did you send?
Uh-huh. Hold on, I'll look and make sure
Yeah,
that you're on it, Sarah.
Well, I have been. Anyway, let's defer it until August.
It'll probably be coming from my, town manager account or
Oh,
town,
they jumped.
town
I
account.
jumped.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
3:15.
say. It might have gone through John.
Sorry.
Town account.
Okay, given that the broadcast is available to anybody that wants to know, I think it's August, so we'll defer on that. The next agenda item is resolution 2025-002. I'm gonna start out by giving a little history here. We entered into an agreement with the developer in January of 2024 that contemplated 2 phases for the construction of the Dunes project. The second phase being contingent upon demand and certain requirements that we had placed upon the developer. Even though the bond proceeds are drawn in response to construction costs actually having been incurred, rather than issue one big bond to cover the entire Dunes project, we broke it down into 2 series.
Yeah.
And by doing that, we were able to save some interest costs. And then we were also able to avoid the potential for having infrastructure running in front of empty lots that weren't generating any additional tax. So it was kind of a win-win for everybody. So just before entering into that development agreement in January of 2024, this body passed a resolution that pledged 80% of the incremental tax revenue from the Dunes project, the entire acreage, as well as the executive storage facility there across from the cemetery, toward repayment of that first bond issue. That first series of bonds we call the Series A bonds, all right, and they were issued in July of 2024. So fast forward to today, given the progress of the construction, the demand for the housing at the Dunes and other conditions indicate that phase 2 of this infrastructure project will likely proceed. And because of that, we need to act accordingly. And so there are 2 things that the Redevelopment Commission needs to do. The first is to take that portion of the acreage where this second phase of infrastructure is going to go in, and we carve it out and we redesignate it so that the incremental tax revenue from those properties that are going to be served by this phase 2 infrastructure, those taxes can be dedicated to the payment of the second series of bonds. This is something called amending and restating a declaratory resolution. and involves something called an allocation area. Now, accomplishing all of that is a process, and that leads us to this public hearing we're about to hold tonight. In May, we held a public meeting, not a public hearing, public meeting to discuss making these amendments. And then we voted as a group to adopt the amendatory declaratory resolution that I'm calling 2025-001. In June, the Plan Commission passed a resolution that saying the amendment we passed conforms to the development plan for the town. And then they issued a written order saying so to the town council. Then later in June, the town council reviewed all of this, adopted a resolution approving our amendment and affirming the written Plan Commission order, all of which leads us to the final action on the matter. And by final action, that's just kind of a statutory legal term that there's a whole different process that involves the bond approval for the second series, and that's not this. Where tonight we're going to vote on a resolution confirming the amendment that we voted to approve last May. So, but not before we hold the public hearing, I should say, on the matter. And we give the other taxing bodies and the general public an opportunity to give us your input before we take that vote. So that's why we're here. And I will now entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
I know that we open it.
Second. Okay, we've got a motion from Ms. Jones and a second from Ms. Rishardi to open the public hearing. Public hearing is on motion on resolution 2025-002 is now open. Do I have any input from the public?
All right, this is Series A, right? This wraps up Series A.
No, it adds to, so the bonds will run side by side.
So there would still be a hearing for B.
No, this is on B. A has been done.
So you call them, that's only two series, right?
Right.
A bond and B bond.
Right. Any other questions? Anybody online, Karen?
I'm just thinking we didn't call for the vote when you motioned.
Oh, and
to
opening
open
them,
the hearing.
not opening the hearing. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
which is okay, just
Can I,
call the vote.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor of opening the public hearing, signify by saying aye. Aye.
And if you're okay, I'll insert your comments as if you said them after we officially opened it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second. Motion to close the public hearing is made by Ms. Jones and seconded by Ms. Rishardi. May I, all in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. All right, so now I will call for a motion to approve resolution 2025-002, which is to confirm the amendment voted on to approve last May.
I move that we approve. Or are we saying adopt or approve? Well,
We are approving the
Approving the-
confirming resolution number
2025-002.
Okay. A lot of consistency tonight. We have a- Motion by Ms. Jones, and second by Ms.
We
Rishardi
get through this.
to approve resolution number 2025-002. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I'll declare that resolution 2025. Okay. So I said there's two things we need to do. That was one. The second one is we need to amend the development agreement. What the development agreement does is simply reflect what this resolution does. So it changes the acreage and divides it into two. One devoted to the repayment of Series A bonds, second devoted to the Series B bonds. There's nothing in my reading of it material change other than that. Is there any discussion amongst us with respect to this development agreement? You've all had a chance to take a look at the changed language.
Do we have an area number 2? That was my question, because we have now area 1 and 3.
Yes, area 2
But
is
that's not-
the executive storage.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the development agreement.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so Ms. Monroe. Motions to approve the development agreement amendment and seconded by Ms. Jones. All in favor of the amendment to the development agreement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we've got an amended development.
That will require just your signature.
Yes, yes. That is, I should say, that vote was tantamount to authorizing me to sign it. Okay. So, new business. I'd like to spend just a couple of minutes talking about our spending plan for 2026. Gonna come in at us fast, right? But let's just kind of think in general about timing for that. So Karen, this a lot depends on your timing for the overall budget and trying to make sure that we get input to you and town council and feedback from the town council in time.
Yeah.
What I think the process should be, and I'm wide open to suggestions, is to go to the town, go to the visitor center, go to Main Street, go to the school, and say, what would you have us spend money on in 2026? And try to get that feedback over the next 30 days. And then in August, our next meeting, maybe tee up a presentation from the visitor center if they have it for us, at least to give us their initial thinking. And then maybe, Kevin, you might give us some thoughts about what you see, in your crystal ball, you and Karen. And then September, perhaps do a preliminary presentation to town council saying this is what we're thinking, try and get some feedback from them. And then maybe for our October meeting, we might think about approving a budget or a spending plan. Now, does that timing kind of work with the overall budget process?
For you, the deadline for submission in 2025 is December 1st of 2020. The spending plan for 26 needs to be submitted December 1st of 25.
So if we approve it third week of October, and if we plan to do it, that gives us 30 days. We will.
I think that's good.
Okay.
Start now, get some input, allow people to come present if they want. In August, summarize, talk about it. September, sleep on it, approve October.
Okay.
I like that.
Karen and I are.
Thanks for
in
thinking through
conversation
that.
with the department head, and they've expressed needs for capital, from some equipment, whatnot. And so that might be something we can leave into those conversations.
Yeah.
And what's coming down the line, 3 to 5 years too.
Terrific.
We don't have to have that at 2 meetings, right? You can just present it and approve it in 1 meeting.
Yeah, timing wise, we would be done with
October and
our
November.
budget stuff around October. Like we would have already had all our department head meetings, et cetera. That I think that matches up pretty well.
Okay. All right, I'll put that together for the team and I'll send out some feelers to people we'd like to have come talk with us next month. All right, any other thoughts on the spending plan? Otherwise, we'll move to the town manager update.
Speaking of blend you from spending plan to town manager, how's that? I presented a document to the commission, and it's a bid proposal that we've received for the improvements that are going to be made to our water plant. And there's 2 documents I've attached. Karen produced the second page of the document. You'll see the bid. I wanted to put the bid proposal in front of you. I'll walk through that really quickly. And then the second page was produced by Karen, taking a look at the, just putting the geo bond that we've issued, and where some of that money is going in terms of the water improvement projects that are being put into town. Starting with the first bid proposal, we opened bid on the water plant and received a bid that was probably higher than we thought. There was some additional material put in through an addendum, and we came at 998.5, which was more than anticipation. We sat down with the bid winner, and we negotiated and discussed several things. We're pulling out, if you go to number 4 in the bid item, where it says filter media replacement, that was something that Bob and I and engineers were looking at. The idea behind that was to replace that filter material, hoping that it would remove magnesium. But our testing actually indicates that we're low. We're just looking for ways to always improve water quality. We thought we would put it in this project with anticipated price and the bond that we were receiving. But we now realize with that price coming in, it's a want, not a need in terms of the water plant improvements. We removed that 156 from that line item, and I just want to walk you through the pricing. The second thing that they provided us with our new well C that is in the old Penders lot that requires housing. As you can see, that line item is 80,000. I'm not sure what their building is out there, but we're pretty sure that we could do better. So no offense, I love them. We talked to Kyle Elliott, and we thought this would be a great project for their first and second year guys out of school. No bigger than it is a pole barn and a cement slab. And so we were able, and I knocked 50,000 safely off of that talking with Bob. And so we're bringing that price down just about 798. Let's round it up, say 800,000. When we turn the page, you're going to see what funds are available. The GEO bond, after everything with the expense of issuance, we had $1,087,000 in the remaining. That bond is doing several things for us. It's replacing meters and bringing in meter software and radio and upgrades to our billing system. We've purchased some of the meters, as you can see. Karen walks you through it. Right now, sitting in the bond that's left after the purchase is $677,513, with an anticipated cost of $800,000. And we still do not have the install price, as you can see down at the bottom. I'm here tonight as we move forward on this project to ask the CRC for $200,000 worth of funding towards the water plant improvement. And if we want to think of it as gap, it's that gap between what the bond is left and what the cost of it is, and also anticipating just a little bit of room in case we get some overage. And I'm here for questions.
So is the 112,000 part,
If
that's
going to be a worst,
install?
would you say that, Karen? That would be the highest amount that we would have to find for the water meter install on the
On
back
top
side
of the 200,000?
Now, yes, the thing about the water meter install is something that we can put over time. We're not going to be able to hit it all at once. Jerry knows it's working with it, but we're going to install those in batches. So it's not something that's going to happen over time. Talking with Bob, that's something we could do over a year or two and stretch that cost out and make it work. So we're comfortable leaving that in there like that, knowing that we have some control on the backside of how we install the meters.
Overall, this will cover both what we're trying to cover in the bond and in the water plant bid.
Yeah, if
Because
you,
the rate increase will cover the water plant work itself, but that was based on a lower water plant estimate.
it was, we're still offsetting with the current cost. When we received our numbers from Baker Tilly, that essentially we're reducing that rate increase down by 40% would be fair, about 128, 129. I don't want to get down to in the 80s rather than where it was originally with the current pricing structure, the way it is being accounted for.
Okay.
Those aren't exact, but that's that's where we project it.
I want to make sure I follow what
Yes, sir.
was just said.
Yes.
So the effect of this 200,000 would be to mitigate a rate increase for water.
It would help us apply. So with this coming in a little bit higher than we anticipated in the 800s, Marty, and the water meter project, what you're helping us do is bridge a gap that's been created because the project came a bit high that we weren't anticipating in the water and allowing us to pursue with the water meter project.
Yeah, there's already gonna be a rate increase no matter what.
Yeah, that,
This is to offset even more of a rate increase, actually.
the GEO bond was really intended to offset that and to improve our water system, especially in terms of recapturing income and dealing with some of the loss reports we've received from the state.
Sally, you got any thoughts on all that?
I don't. I think all of the items that are listed actually are necessary. We wouldn't be doing it if it was not necessary. So, I feel that it would be appropriate for us to.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna comment really quick, and you're right, Sally, those, with the aerator and essentially the service pumps, we have a filter capacity of 583 somewhere in there. What we weren't doing was able to, because of the pumps that existed, we're only putting in at 370. Now, there's some challenges in adjusting with the higher rate of flow, but we're able to put back into that filter. What we're trying to do is be responsible as we online the dunes. IDEM gives us a report telling us what our high usage is, and they did it in July, and they did it during a water leak. So we had a worst case scenario number, and what we're trying to ensure is that we get a 15 to 20% recaptured capacity after the dunes is fully online. So we don't prevent against future growth, and we want to continue. So we're trying to look ahead, and these are needs that essentially the aerator's 20 years old and the service pumps needed replaced. So
Yeah, because when we did our upgrade, we did what the grant that SRF would cover. I mean, it could have been a much larger project back when we did that project, just as any sewer water plant project could be. We tend to bite off $1 million chunks instead of $3 million chunks or $5 million chunks. But I mean, this list, the plant and the stuff we put in the GEO bond doesn't cover everything Bob would like to do. So, I mean, we haven't even looked at the sewer plant. So you have to keep investing in your sewer water plant. Even if we weren't growing at all, they get antiquated like anything else. And, new technology also comes out, but based on what I'm seeing on here, it's not like this is not that huge a project compared to what a lot of communities are looking at.
Yeah.
Argus has just put out an RFP for water sewer utility study. So the lower rate they may be paying now, they're going to be facing next year once they get through their sewer plant study, I'm sure. We will no longer, we'll be right there in the middle of everyone else in the pack. But I don't think we've made a ton of CRC generally will invest in sewer water infrastructure. And though we set up the development for the, extending the line, which is a natural thing for redevelopment to invest in, so would be a water sewer plant.
Sure, you're the utilities expert on this. Anything to add?
No, I think it's all good. Like I said, it's not like we're going over anything extreme. It's all stuff that needs to be done. I'm all for it.
I don't have really much to add either. I know Bremen, I would add Bremen to Argus as having some water stuff that we're looking at, that having trouble getting things priced the way they'd like. The concrete's going up against a lot. And they're not getting a lot of interest from what I understand either in getting the work done. There's not people banging down the door to bid on their work either.
Yeah, I'm curious, Kevin, since this has come up with water, you know, in the spending plan conversation. I know we're kind of looking at sewer plant and it's in a different shape from a rate standpoint, like the financially it's in better shape, but it doesn't mean the plant won't need some improvement, right?
What we're looking at, thank you, with the wastewater plant, our capacity numbers are fine. What we haven't been able to do is invest in the infrastructure. We've had existing problems. It's been pretty close to 16 years, if I'm correct. And we're getting IDEM knocking on the door saying, hey, what are we doing about this? And what happened was we initiated, if you don't mind, I'll try to be brief. That's fine. We initiated the study with Midwestern and we were getting one report, and at a certain point, the message started changing. And it became one when they really started considering the one factor that wasn't considered, I guess, weighted heavy enough was the condition of the cement. It was thought to be a reconditioning process, but it reveals that we're going to be spending probably the cost benefit of reconditioning became diminished once we started factoring in what we can survive in terms of the primaries and the secondary clarifiers and the cement condition. So when it was brought to me in a revised version, we were getting a quote unquote Band-Aid package, a refurbishing at a cost of 4 million estimate. These are rough numbers until I get the official study. And at $4 million, we're buying 5 to 7 years on that plant, and it's still antiquated and it's still causing chlorine treatment, and it's heavy burden on our laborers out there. An enormous amount of time for those guys to process. We're starting to look at what we call a sequence batch reactor, which is set it and forget it. I love that term. And it is an efficient one. We're getting high price points right now. And I like them when they give me that. I say, give me the high number. You're looking at a 25-year plant at 11 million. And to me, there's value in that. And we're not locked into that price either. We're going to have to shop around and take some bids out, but we're looking at that in a way, again, not a capacity issue. It's about the hardware going bad on us and the amount that we're asking guys out there to try to make it work. And I'm going to be bringing that, but we don't have the details yet on that. And we got to work out the studies and do some shopping. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. I know this has been on your mind and thoughts as well. I just wanted us to sort of have that early heads up.
All right. Any other thoughts? I guess entertain a motion now to commit 200. Now it would be an immediate commitment, right?
It would be an immediate commitment to 200,000. We're moving forward with the project.
I can say that we have room in our capital and our spending plan under the category of capital improvements.
Is this something we should look at for next year for our spending plan? Is there something next year is gonna be?
And Jenny kind of preemptively let it out and wastewater and I'll get to it in town manager's notes.
Yes, don't encourage.
Yeah, I'm like, tell us now, just rip the Band-Aid
Lay it
off.
on.
Yeah. All right, so I'll entertain a motion for a commitment of 200,000 to the town of Culver for the improvements
At the
in
water
the water plant. Thank you.
I move to approve 200,000 to the town of Culver for improvements in the water treatment plant.
Okay, we have a second for that.
I'll second that. My work's there.
Okay, so we have a motion from Ms. Jones and a second from Ms. Rishardi. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, let's signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hey, Kevin, don't spend it all in one place.
Yes, sir. And I'll make sure that I report back, show you pretty pictures of what you bought. All right. Thank you, guys. Now on to a little less. I put in front of you an RFP that I've drafted. I've had help from a lot of great sources of feedback. Marty, Don Fox was a contributor. Kevin, I'd like to thank you for your notes. They were incorporated in. The initial one that I saw or sent you and proposed to you, it evolved as conversations continued. I realized, and just hearing what the wants and from this study, I kind of saw it shifting to a market analysis. A much heavier economic emphasis on it in terms of market identification and development, as well as a revitalization. Putting in front of you the project goals, access to current downtown market dynamics, enormous amount of feedback, and I really appreciate the vetting. I think it identifies service and retail, evaluate customer, resident, visitor needs, analyze Culver's economic landscape, both regional and comparable downtowns, comparable. I got Kevin's notes late and wasn't able, I already printed these out, but I incorporated ideas about, because we're a unicorn in some ways, we're a lake community and also like a small college town, and there's not a lot of us out there. So either or, and if you can find both, that'd be great. Just looking for what some of the goals are. If you flip the page, I don't want to labor over this. Scope of work, what we're asking to do is a market assessment with bullet points underneath of it. Our market trends currently, economic indicators, real estate in terms of best use. That's something that they're familiar with, and I'd like to see how they define best use. Evaluate Culver's regional market dynamics and opportunity for growth potential. Assessing Culver's regulatory, zoning, and economic development environment as it exists today. I've heard that in conversations with users. That's something we need an outside eye to take a look at, and not only just what is existing, but how do we change and encourage, foster future growth through shifts in our zoning. Benchmark downtown Culver against peer communities. I was able to incorporate it there, Kevin. Vacation-based towns and smaller educational communities, private colleges, somewhere like Crawfordsville where you get to Paul is a nice type site for us on that Madison, right, and the vacation area. Customer community analysis. We've done a lot with that. We have that information. Culver's Destination 2040 did a solid job there. So as needed, I'd like to see that augmented. The connectivity is something that I'm interested in. How do we create a flow that comes down Lakeshore Drive and makes that turn down Main Street? Is there something we're missing that's really simple? And I know banners, as simple as that seems, really does create a flow in town. So we're already identifying opportunity. Where's the further opportunity to create that flow? Because we need a cohesive market. Identify current downtown users, residents, workers, visitors, and businesses. We have a lot of that information. I'd like that confirmed. Market gap identification is one that was really interesting when we met with some different experts in the field. They've done one in Crawfordsville, Indiana. What markets are we missing, both regionally and locally? What's here that we should bolster or adjust and emphasize, but what else is missing for us? I'm interested in that, especially from a demographic segment standpoint. Strategic recommendations are what it's about. We have a pretty good sense of who we are, but we need marching orders and plans. And you'll see that in the deliverable as we turn the page. Under number 5, comprehensive market gap analysis, executive summary, slide deck. These are things we'd like to have actually brought to us. Downtown revitalization strategy, and more importantly, a roadmap and time. I was told by some wise people who've been around a while that we can't just drop projects in and leave them isolated. There has to be an understanding of how they're going to grow, foster, and build upon each other, having a much larger outlook and both in time and scope geographically. And that's something that resonates with me. Presentation to the town officials, I think, is something they have to deliver and bring it directly to you. You'll see the proposal requirements and executive summary, firm background and qualifications. Obviously, I want to know what their approach and methodology is as they bring in an RFP so we can select a methodology that works for us. A work plan and timeline, a budget and fee proposal, and then references a minimum of 3. That's what it's about, right? Where have you worked and what do they say about you? They're obviously going to give us their best. The criteria is a flexible thing and we weight it differently. I don't know if we need to lockstep it, but I thought it'd be good measure to weight this a bit and see your opinion of it. No response necessary at the moment. It's still a work in progress, but I'd like to get it out. The timeline, I don't know what that, I put these times down as markers. Am I moving too fast? I take my lead from the council and you. That's what I'm thinking. Then obviously submission methods just for good measure. That is what I've produced. It has still room to change and evolve, but I really think that we are at a point where I'd like some data. And I want to put it in front
I like how you weighted the criteria, Kevin, because I think you put the biggest percentages on experience and methodology. And I think a lot of local leaders tend to place too much emphasis on the budget number because, what you're saying is I want the quality right. And
I want
we'll
value.
figure out how to fund the quality of it.
I had some great feedback on that, Jenny. And it was amazing because I got 3 different opinions on it when I put it out there. And it was interesting.
I think the
I'm
only
sorry,
thing I would
Kevin.
change maybe is vendor selection date. That's really soon after the proposals review.
Yeah.
It gives time for you guys to look through them and
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been too tight.
compare apples to apples or whatever. And you could put an extra line like, we may choose to interview
Yeah,
prospective firms or whatever.
Yeah, well done.
Because that way, if you have questions, like you get the proposal and you might want to interview them.
Absolutely.
Unless there's one that you're like, this is definitely way stronger than the other ones. Or
So
whatever.
would you like that interview to occur prior to the selection process? Obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like if they turn it in on the
That's a great suggestion.
14th and you give yourself a month or even longer if you want to
Yep.
select your, and then and the RFP, you just need to add a line that we may choose to interview candidates after we've received proposals or whatever. Something like that. I think it's great though. And I like all the scope of work is very action oriented and it includes so much of the stuff we've talked about, like only really serious firms are gonna respond to it because there's a lot of serious information
Yeah, a lot
that
of
we're
work.
asking
Yeah,
for,
right.
which is
Well, am I
great.
asking for too, I guess?
no.
No.
Okay.
It needs to be high.
And it really, this captures a lot of different conversations.
Yeah.
Couple of thoughts, Jenny, I didn't want to.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Cut you off there. I like that you're requiring them to understand the comp plan.
Well, and that came from Kevin and Don and sitting in those comp plan. It's this, we've got to root ourselves in that work, I think. So, yeah.
In that plan though, I think they do that MACOG's got in there, the standard kind of market gap analysis. So I wouldn't want them to redo that. What I'd prefer to do is ask for something, Culver specific, given the unicorn nature of Culver, so to speak, right?
Okay.
What's the gap in view of that, not, what the Economic Development Commission standardized business reports based on population say how many fast food restaurants you should have or, grocery stores or
I think I
stuff like
understand
that,
that. Don had me focus when his feedback, he's the one that inserted where to go in the comp plan. If you see up above, we want you to emphasize this. Would you suggest maybe saying, not ignoring, right? But,
Yeah.
but tailoring or shaping the market analysis that is found within the comprehensive plan towards a more specific plan for Culver as it ties locally and regionally.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know what's gonna come out of the Main Street renovation plan, but my thinking is that it's that will get a confectionery bakery, right, than a need for another hardware store in this town,
Right.
regardless of what the population statistics say.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And tell me what the market gap analysis is compared to other towns like ours.
Yeah.
Seasonal with a, heavily tourism influenced economy.
There's that element in there where we ask them to benchmark us against other towns and see it. And I'm wondering if that gets to it enough. Marty.
Yeah, it
I
probably
need to-
does, but I just don't, you're putting a spec in there to do this analysis.
No, you're okay.
And I would say, don't ask them to do it unless because you got it, you're asking for what you really want elsewhere, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Not to bring up another county, but Stark County just did it as what is the desert? Like if this was a desert, what would you put in this location to revitalize it? And that concept really resonated with a lot of people who came and gave feedback on. They went after it. That's when they went after the hotel. First Knox, it fell through.
Yeah.
But that's what they I don't know why that resonated.
Okay. I have a way
I know.
of interpreting
The
things. that
desert doesn't develop.
Sometimes in my, or you may know this, in my head, I think I hear you. If you guys don't mind, and I'm not trying to impose, would you send that to me in an email?
I'd be
And
happy.
that way I can capture it and have it in writing in front of me.
Sure.
That way I'm not trying to interpret the words on the spot. Thanks, Mark.
Another question, do we need, and you may, need till August 26th to issue this?
Absolutely not. It was totally a place. I said, hey, let's make it. I think we can do it much sooner, but I'm at the beck and call of both you and the council, you guys and the council. And I take my marching orders. You tell me to put this thing in the field, we go.
Well, I would suggest that the Redevelopment Commission provide you with their thoughts within a week, and then you take them and go,
Thank you.
right? And as soon as you can get town council approval, then you go.
I'll hit them next Thursday and we're going. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Much appreciated.
Any other thoughts from Mr. Don? The immediate thoughts, right? Well,
Yeah, really good content.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
Mr. Berger, thank you for your help.
And I do think providing, I like your questions, having a questions due date from the firms that might have a question for you.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it gives a chance, like if we get questions, they publish it back to the firms. And I do think giving the firms a solid 6 or 8 weeks is fair, because planning firms, you know, they'll do a pretty thorough job on their submittals if you give them that opportunity, and you've given them a lot to
I
have to
but I-
comment on, which is
Yeah, I
fantastic.
wouldn't push up your other dates. If
No.
you- If you get it out
Just give them
sooner,
more
just.
time.
let them
That's
work.
exactly it.
Yeah.
And you should have seen the first draft of that, maybe a little too fast.
Three-
Short amount of time, so thank you.
And I like how you say boom, and then we'll select you in 2 days.
Yeah.
But Susie, we did ask Barb to take a look at it, Barb
We did.
Johnson, to take a look at it, but she's in Alaska, I think.
Look at what?
Do
The
An RFP for downtown.
The draft.
you want to take a copy of
RFP.
it?
Yes, I do. I was bringing
You
it
can have
here
mine.
tomorrow.
I'm not in Alaska, I'm here.
So
Give me
Deserves it, though.
I was gonna have them look at it, Susan, and capture your thoughts, and send it to you and to Liz.
because we don't want to go forward without getting Main Street.
No. But I wanted to get through the draft version before I started contributing it to get the sloppiness out of it. So
Okay.
there we go.
I'll, meet with several merchants, so it's not just one, you have
If you want,
lots of several.
If you could help.
If
I
you
think
want extra-
Barb may be circulating it too.
You can
Okay.
have more than a week.
and I can get you extra copies at your,
All right,
just request.
thank you. What else you got, Kevin?
We've got banner project update.
Would you like me to update?
I've learned to let you
Okay.
speak on the banners.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Catching on.
Thanks.
Everything, is in play, banners have been ordered. We met with Kevin and, since we started wider and went narrower and then went shorter, we went back to, what was it, $5 a banner difference? Was that
Yeah, I
what it
think
was?
that's what it was.
It was, went back to the 60, but still at the 26. Hardware, Kevin ordered the hardware for
We're moving.
the Sternberg poles, then ordered the hardware for the wood poles. Town just needs to get the lags for that. Banners have been ordered. And just at 5 o'clock, I got the response from,
was
Van
on.
Adco. It was a little disappointing. They printed the vinyl last Wednesday, but they didn't order the marking in time. They didn't call. So we don't get it up for homecoming weekend, which we were really all hoping on. And he did say, since the old signs are still there, they will take them out.
Oh,
So
they
don't
will.
worry about your guys trying to get them done. He said that they can take them out.
Okay, because Bob's on it too.
It's fine,
Okay.
since we're already delayed.
We would like to keep the old signs though if we could.
Well, then maybe you should take them out.
I thought that's the only,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
If-
otherwise they'll
if
get
I-
chopped
we-
up probably.
I made arrangements with Bob to do that. I was waiting for you to tell me when.
Well, remember, it was supposed to be installed this week.
That's what we were talking about. And I got a little nervous today and said, here, what's up?
Yes, where those signs are still there, what's going on?
Yeah.
But he did acknowledge that he screwed up and didn't call it in soon enough.
Okay.
So hopefully next week. But I would say by Monday, you might want to make sure those are out.
Yeah, but I'll talk about, he said it'd be quick. We'll get the signs down. Do you need to post all the way out of the way too, or
Well, that's,
existing posts?
I think you should because
I just want to make sure I understand correctly.
remember Jared, we talked about did you look at it or Josh? Josh told me that it was fine. So, we're talking about the spacing.
Yep.
Now that it's 8 foot, we wanted to make sure that the post wasn't too close to the fire hydrant, but Josh from the town and Jerry said it's good. But that was going from where the other post was, so that probably should be gone. I would hate for them to move it over
Fine.
and get too close.
Got it. I just want to be clear on what we need. Thank
Thank you, Susie, for all your work.
Last one, the town manager tonight. Had a really great meeting with Jessica Yunker, who is with Court State feasibility study for the hotel. Marty accompanied me during that meeting and was able to take her through a tour through town, a drive through. We discussed some questions that she asked us directly about the academy. The academy has already completed the survey. That she would like to do a follow-up meeting with the academy, with admissions, especially athletics, and then somebody from the administration was her request on making those arrangements to discuss more specific questions. Greg Hillebrand, we sent, was kind enough to distribute it to the local industry, both in Plymouth, Argus, and around. And with his connections, it was a one-stop shop for me. So I got a little lazy and said it to him and said, please. And he said, sure thing. And thank him for that. Getting the initial information during the initial tour, we have a couple sites. And reading Jessica, there was excitement. She sees the lake. She saw the downtown, especially the park and going down Main Street. And there is volume. Not to tip the hat too much, what she needs to confirm is our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, like everybody else. Where's the hotel business coming from? And with some of the functions that go on at the academy, there is that fluid, but that's why we hired her. She's going to do the feasibility, but her initial initial impression seemed to be strong. So I'm encouraged by that. Other than that, Marty, am I leaving anything out from that meeting?
Just to remind my colleagues, it's a
Yeah.
two-phase process.
Thank you.
So this was the initial look, and based on the survey results that she will get, she'll make a determination as to whether or not to go to the full-blown analysis. So we haven't hit that first gate yet, but I think there was a lot of positive feedback. Culver we just hit it on a great day, right there. Her boats on the lake.
Bikers going around. I mean,
People. Clearly, she was a little surprised.
didn't hurt that the article about Culver being the Midwest Cape May was out there too. Oh, by the way, did we show you this?
Yeah.
Cape Cod, Cape May. I'm a Cape May guy, Jersey, but Cape Cod, sorry.
Didn't have an all-day thunderstorm.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and it was fascinating to be in the company of a true expert in, understanding how to determine whether or not a hotel would make it or not make it, given a venue. I mean, it's real, specialty bit of expertise. So
She had a different eye towards.
whole different perspective,
Yeah.
We're gonna go, oh, we'll give you that. I don't need, right? What I need to know is,
Yeah.
so, pretty interesting.
With permission, I'm gonna have to excuse myself. Miss Max Pecky calls.
Okay, you go.
Thank you, sir.
I think Jan wanted to be on that panel of judges.
Next year, Jan. I'm MC and I'm not a
Next year.
judge for the record.
Thank you for that.
I'm smart enough. I haven't done.
All right.
I would not do that. Thanks, guys.
Financial report. Karen, thank you for your usual great work on this. We've got a bank balance at the end of June of $1,374,299.03. When you look at our spending plan versus projected or the annual projection, we're only at 21%. So we're running well within our spending parameters. The 200,000 we spent tonight can change the percentage a little bit. But we're still in fine shape. Karen, any comments?
No, I did want to, I know we've done several facade grants. I went ahead and put together a report. They're sitting on top of the fact finder, with list of all of the facade grants that you've given out over the years. And kind of, it separates it out by current spend as well. So if you can take one of those just for your reference.
Here we go. Yes, no.
Oh, this is fantastic.
It's really is helpful.
Yeah. So interesting in 2020 and 2021 when COVID was going on.
Yeah.
Bunch of them in 23, didn't we?
Yeah, that's a good bounce back here.
Yeah.
Pent up demand.
I just thought I'd share that with you just for your reference.
It's really helpful.
A couple from 23 actually were applied for and started in 22, but not finished until 23.
Yeah, that means
Yeah, that's
why
where
that number's
yeah.
so high. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just put it when it was paid
Yeah.
out, because that's how I control it.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because when it started in 2017, we capped it at 10,000. And yeah, we had a ton of people do it that year. So that's kind of interesting because that's one of the higher years of investment was the very first year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But there's been some kind of investment every single year. Nine years, we're in our 9th year. So yeah. A little over 40,000 per year on average.
Mhm.
Great. Let's see a lot of smaller businesses on here. So,
Yeah.
Okay, Karen, any other thoughts? Any questions for Karen on the financials, the financial report? If not, entertain a motion to accept the financial report for the month of June.
Move that we approve the June financial report as presented.
Do I have a second? Okay, so motion by Ms. Jones, second by Ms. Rishardi, all in favor of approving the June financial report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we've got our approved financial report, and we will then move into approval of claims. We just have 2 items, right, Karen? And could you walk us through them? Because I don't. have
There's,
the paperwork in front of me.
well, it's in the folder.
Oh.
But yeah, there were 2. One is for the hotel feasibility study for 7,500. That's already actually paid. And then the other one is for,
VFW gutters.
gutters. That's that grant.
Side grant for VFW.
A
You all
motion
in?
to approve the
No,
claims.
thank you. Motion by Jenny. Do I have a second? Okay, thanks, Jerry. All in favor of accepting claims as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll circulate that for signature then. Things are done. We have a tip management report that we submitted actually by statute, April 15th or by April 15th. You had authorized me to sign that based on the discussion that we had earlier, or that would have been the end of March. Now you've had an opportunity to take a look at it, and I'm just asking for formal report as it was submitted. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the report from you, Karen? All right, well, I'm glad you all agree with it.
Yeah.
And say that, I'll accept a motion to approve that TIF management report. Is. Thank you, Terry. Do I have a second? Okay. Motion by Mr. Seiler, seconded by Ms. Rishardi for approval of the TIF management report as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Right.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, that is done. Next, our favorite time of the meeting, public input. Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's the appropriate committee to bring this up to, but since we're talking about financial investments in the wastewater and in the water treatment plants, there's been a lot of international talk about internet being hacked, rogue players getting into utilities and disrupting that. Is Culver vulnerable to that? Do that?
We're not, our systems aren't hooked up to the internet. They're not run remotely. And actually, we just put internet into the water plant just for an alarm. So that it can call out. So
Controls aren't.
controls are not hooked up to the internet.
And then the other flips, the second part of that is, if the power goes out, what happens with the wastewater plant?
There's a backup generator.
And same true for the aeration system, for the pump system.
Yes.
Because I came from a community that over the winter, we had a terrible ice storm. They did not have a valid plan in place when the power went out. And when they finally did switch over to battery backup, it failed. And drinking water was contaminated. And it shut the whole city of Richmond down, Richmond, Virginia.
So you will get notified once the power goes out. We'll get notified. It goes through the list of all of us. It starts with Bob, goes to Josh, then to me, and so on and so forth. So one of us will go in, at least make sure everything is up and operational. And if something wasn't, then we'll be right there to start doing whatever we need to do.
Because this was just a comedy of errors and it affected a very large community for 8 days. And it was not only disruptive, but financially impactful to the business. So I just thought.
Yeah, just an FYI, I was just in at a conference and Indiana just passed some legislation where sewer and water systems that are hooked up are, hooked to the internet, if you will. By law, they have to now implement cyber protection. That was just in this last round of passed bills. So a lot of communities are now like, how do we do that? And I was like, we don't have to. But there are plenty that do.
But eventually we will, right?
Yeah.
I
depending on
think
the
if Bob
technology.
has his way, it'll be as long as.
Anything else? Okay, let's go to member input. And I'll start with you, Jenny.
No, I just wanted to add one more comment about this really interesting facade. It just occurred to me, if we've invested $402,000 over 9 years in facade, we always take the lower of the 2 bids or 3 bids or whatever. So sometimes, at the very least, our businesses have invested that much in their facade projects, probably even more, because we often can only cover that lower chunk of the total. So between us and those businesses, there's been close to $1 million in investment in these facade projects. And I think that says a lot about the business owners always trying to maintain the look of their place, the safety, security aspects, whether it's a roof or, I just think it's great. We have that many businesses putting back into their business in terms of the facade. Because all of that matters, right, in terms of how our town looks and
Definitely.
how people are greeted by these businesses. So just wanted to point out they were investing as much as we were, if not more.
Our hotel feasibility expert described our downtown as charming.
That's great.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Jerry?
No.
Sally?
I don't have anything.
I have a thank you note from the Wild Rose Moon. And so I'm going to with you as well as the receipt for tax purposes. Thank you for making the moon shine. To our friends of the town of Culver, thank you for your generous support of the Wild Rose Moon. We hope to see you at a future moon event. Signed, the Wild Rose Moon Board. I don't know if you've been on the internet, but the town of Culver is prominently featured as a sponsor. And the website is actually pretty cool. And as is Wild Rose Moon in general. So I just thought I'd share that with you there. I think we got a good relationship, good partnership. And that's all I got. Karen?
I do want to thank the CRC for supporting the Culver Youth Club building initiative, though it is not going to occur. We'll look down the path of the future, but thank the CRC for their contribution towards that initiative.
Any additional like background? What held it up?
So as Ready always, from the initial, they said for us to get Ready and to get the Lilly Capital was a huge initiative to get that merged together. So Lilly had conflict with that not owning the building. So we had to do it into 2 phases. That 2 phases dropped down the potential overall net Lilly funding that they would contribute. So, and Ready had already given us 4 deadlines to meet, and we kept asking for extensions on those deadlines. So in the end, the CYC board did not select a contractor in order for us to move forward with a capital campaign to increase the stack. So I just saw Rochester is getting one for their daycare. But that's a different region than our region as far as Ready dollars. But so it was potentially there because youth and daycare was a huge need. And it's not a no in the future. It's just not right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Sarah, anything? Karen, anything else? Okay. Going once, going twice. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second? Okay, so Ms. Richardi, Ms. Jones, all in favor?
Right.
Aye. All right, thanks, everybody.